Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Maize and Blue Mixtape. I'm your host, Doug Cohen. I'm a former player and co-founder of Hail Media. And this is the show where we talk about the incredible connection between music and Michigan football. And trust me, I've been a music fanatic my whole life. I sang Sabbath Bloody Sabbath in kindergarten. So this show's right up my alley. For our very first episode, we've got a fantastic guest who is at the center of one of the most iconic music stories in recent Michigan history. My guest is former Wolverine and the man known by some as the Pump It Up guy, Joel Honigford. How you doing, Joel?
I'm doing well. It's great to be back talking about Pump It Up.
Right? What a classic story. And, you know, for anybody who went to some of those games or was at the game, especially in 2021, what a time. And, you know, we just connected on LinkedIn recently, you and I. And, you know, with Football Alumni of Michigan, I was doing some outreach and looking for some former players, and we connected, and I Googled you. And that's how I saw that you were responsible, basically, for the Pump It Up theme of that season. So take us back to that time and tell us how that came about a little bit.
Yeah, so obviously it's been a while since I first discovered that song, but it was 2019. I remember hearing it for the first time. I mean, I always get into new music, listen to new things, and, you know, I'll listen to a new handful of songs for a bit, and then they'll kind of fade out. And that's kind of what happened. I don't know, I liked the song, but it kind of just didn't really have any meaning to it. And so fast forward then summer, headed into the 2021 season. I was doing an internship with Caterpillar. And so I needed to work out earlier in the summer. So it was about a group of 4 of us who would work out at 6:30 in the morning. Now, 6:30 in the morning is early. And so when you get in there, you're like, man, I don't know. Like, the energy's a little low. There's only 4 of us. Like, this is a little brutal. And thankfully, the strength coaches trusted me enough to let me DJ the workouts. And so I would put first thing on, I would put Pump It Up on, because it just got me going. Like, it just got me pumped up, quite literally. So yeah, moving forward from there, it got implemented into practice. So we did a drill. It's called Beat Ohio. They still do it now. It's essentially our inside run period. It's a super heavy hitting period, super intense period. They started putting it on for that. Guys started getting pretty amped up by it. It was a big energy lifter. And moving forward through fall camp, then we get into the season. We're week 1 now, and I'm talking to our operations guy, and I'm like, hey, listen, I don't know who you got to talk to, but you got to get this on the system at the game. Like, you got to get this played. And he was like, oh, you know, we'll see. Like, I'll put a word in. Like, the team likes it. It's kind of been our anthem here for fall camp or whatever. And next thing you know, the first touchdown we score, sure enough, there it is. They played it. And that's kind of how it went throughout the season, right? So they just would play it after the first touchdown, obviously, until the game.
That's crazy. And you know what's funny to me is 6:30 in the morning. That sounds like dawn patrol to me. I mean, that was when you had to get up and go down to the track if you failed your conditioning test.
Right.
That's like before the sun comes up, you're down there at the track. Like, that's early working out, 6:30. But that time, because you moved from tackle to tight end, so were you still in that mode of making the transition, or were you already a tight end for a full season before that?
So 2020 would have been my first year at tight end, but I still weighed 290. So, I mean, not really at tight end weight at that point. And then moving into 2021, that's when I went from 290 to 255. So that summer I was I was getting down at that point in time. I was probably at the start of that summer, probably like 265 and working my way down towards the end of it. But yeah, that's when I had officially started my transition to being a true tight end, if you will. So
one running routes instead of just blocking. So
yeah.
So I mean, you needed to get pumped up early and be effective in dropping that weight. I mean, I know that's some guys need to gain, some guys need to lose. And so I know I know what that's like a little bit. I had to gain, but I never had a 50-pound swing. But yeah, I mean, so I just remember, especially at the Ohio State game, you know, all you guys, like when I played, we weren't really dancing around as a team.
Right.
We didn't have DJs in the stadium. I mean, we had our marching band, but we, you know, when you guys were down there literally holding chairs up and waving towels around, and I mean, it was just so hype. It's just something about that whole scene was just like you could feel it. And I know in the article, and I want to give proper credit to Jared Greenspan, who's the author of the article in the Michigan Daily, who did that piece. In that piece, you mentioned how it was kind of like in Mortal Kombat, where you see the energy just kind of stacking up as you're landing blows. And I felt that. I mean, anybody I think sitting in that stadium could see that and feel that happening. And that song was such a big part of it. And then, I remember they broke it out again in Indy.
Yeah. Yep. Which was surprising because we weren't in control of the music, but at that point in time, it was, let's see, that year, I think it was 42-3. That was Iowa. I mean, it was just so far gone that it wasn't like, it was okay to play it, and we were able to celebrate with it, which was cool. I think like the most memorable moment I have of it is post Ohio State game. Well, first of all, when we play Ohio State in 2020, obviously it plays the first touchdown. And then it played after the second. And we're like, oh, this is kind of going to be the theme of today. And yeah, like the chairs were flying around, dudes were swinging towels around like that. That started with like the specialist, like Brad Robbins. He was the one who started with the chairs. But yeah, then I remember obviously they stormed the field after the game, and then they played it again, and everybody was just jumping up and down on the field singing it, and it was I mean, kind of just really a full circle moment. It was like, how did this get this big? Like, I just heard the song one time and I was like, yeah, that's a cool song, let's play that at practice. And then, I mean, it was essentially the anthem for the year.
It's great. Well, and now they play it like in other stadiums as well.
Right. Yeah, they play it everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, they play it in stadiums all over the place, so you should get credit for that. I actually sent an email just on a whim. We didn't hear back, but I sent an email to the original artist, to Endor, and just to see if he would come on this podcast and talk about it.
Oh, yeah. So I remember after like it really kind of blew up, and like these articles were coming out like, hey, like, this is the story behind how I got to this point. I was like, hey man, I got to connect with this guy. Like,
yeah.
And we ended up following each other on Instagram. And I was like, hey, like, really appreciate your song. And he was just like, thanks, super cool, what's happening now. And that's just kind of where it ended. But it was cool to like be able to connect with him.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, so that was cool.
And then so it was the remix that like gave it new life, right? Because it was released in 2004, and then I'm sorry, Danzel was the original artist. It was Endor who released the remix.
Right. Yes.
Okay, so was it Endor that you ended up in touch with?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, he was the one that released the remix and made it big.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay, because Danzel's the guy I reached out to, the original artist.
Okay.
Because the one that made it big in 2019 was a remix. So that's fun.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. So, and then obviously it was, it became kind of part of the legend, and people would like shout you out as the Pump It Up guy around campus.
Right. There was like T-shirts that I did with Blue by 90.
Our friends at Blue by 90, Justin Rowe, great guy. Yes. We love those guys.
Yeah, they did. That was like when NIL first started.
Yeah.
Like everybody was just like throwing things at the wall, see if they stuck. And I was like, oh, this like seems like a pretty good opportunity. And they're like, hey, we'll facilitate this. Like, you just help us market it. And it was like that kind of blew up too, which was surprising because I mean, it's not like I was, JJ McCarthy or anything like that. Like I was a blocking tight end for Michigan. I wasn't in the spotlight. I mean, some people knew who I was, but not everybody did, and that's fine. Yeah. But to see the kind of traction that got, and like people like rallied around that, and that kind of was like I said, the anthem for the season was super cool.
I just actually went to my first Blue by 90 tailgate last week. And Justin and Jacqueline, they had a stage there. They had a band playing their tailgate. They had like a scoreboard sized television, like playing the Ohio State Texas game at the tailgate. Like they really, they're crushing it over there. Mm-hmm. And my daughter, who's same class as you at Michigan, she's been writing for Blue by 90.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So she's been doing some of the sports columns on their website. So it's an awesome story. I appreciate you sharing it with us. We've got a couple other things that I want to get to, so we're going to pivot to another topic in a second. Before we do that, I want to give a couple of quick shout outs. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Horn Legend, which outfitted us with this gear. So yeah, really good stuff. hornlegend.com. I recommend that you check that out. And also I want to give a shout out to Football Alumni of Michigan, FAM, which is an organization that's really near and dear to our hearts. It's a 501c3. they do a lot of stuff for former players, especially with mental health and guys who are struggling and in need. You know, there was no concussion protocol back in the day, there was no NIL. And a lot of the guys who went through the program are now feeling the effects of playing such a brutal game, you know, back in the day when it wasn't maybe as safe or less unsafe as it is now. So Football Alumni of Michigan fam, I'll have the link in the comments below. Please check that out. So Joel, one of the other things that we've done, Hail Media, is we have a Facebook group. And the Facebook group is called The Big House, presented by Hail Media. And so I went in there and I asked if anybody had any questions for Joel Honigford, the guy who's responsible for Pump It Up and Make It Music Related. So we got one, and I'm just going to read it verbatim. It's from Tony Burnside. He says, I need honest answers on Michigan's Mr. Brightside song. Are you feeling it or nah? Because it's a whopping nah for me. Gotta be a better anthem out there for us to use with a laughing emoji. What say you?
I mean, personally, like the band who wrote that song, The Killers, I'm a fan of The Killers. They got a lot of good music. Mr. Brightside, yeah, I would say it's one of those things that like it's just played every game that like it is what it is. Like I'm not going to go in my car and turn it on because like I'll associate it with the end of the third quarter at Michigan. With that being said, it is a song that everybody knows, so everybody can sing it and it's really easy to follow along to, even if you're just in the crowd. So when there's 110,000 people singing Mr. Brightside at the end of the third quarter, like there's something pretty cool about that. Like whether you like the song or not, it's pretty cool. So, all right, if you want a new anthem, you have to find a different song that everybody can rally around. And it's not going to be Rocky Top. Like we can't do that. You know what I mean? But it has to have something of the same value. And I mean, until there's a better suggestion, like Sweet Caroline, everybody does Sweet Caroline. That's like, it's just, I don't know. Mr. Brightside, yeah, it's like not my, I wouldn't listen to it by myself, but I don't not like the song. It's fine. And everybody sings it, which is cool.
Yeah. Well, and listen, if anybody knows about the genesis of, you know, replacing an anthem or adding an anthem to the stadium, it's you, man.
Yeah, I guess so.
You're the authority, you know, and listen, we were talking a little bit about this, 2017, your freshman year, my daughter's freshman year in the student section, that was the year that it was played and sung for the first time at the stadium.
Uh-huh.
And it was the Michigan State game. It was a weird night. It was an absolute skies opened up on a complete downpour.
Yeah.
But it was still like 75 degrees. It was like a warm downpour, and they played Mr. Brightside and everyone sang it. And it was just like a moment that just kind of happened. I think if you were there, you know, you'll never completely hate on the idea of Mr. Brightside at the stadium because of that moment. It was just such a spontaneous, real moment. And to your point, I think it's pretty cool when the whole stadium is singing anything, you know, at the top of their lungs. So Tony, I don't think we agree with you, man.
Yeah, I would have to say we disagree. And I'll even say this. I know there's guys on the team, or at least when I was there, who didn't like the song, but they liked when the people sang the song. That's what it is. Like people enjoy, it's like cool when you hear everybody sing. It's one of those moments where you pull your phone out and you record, like, wow, this is pretty cool. Everybody's singing it, especially when you're in a big game or a tight game, whatever it may be. It's cool.
I agree. It's something and it's ours, even though the Buffalo Bills tried to say it's theirs. It's not Michigan's. Now I want to get into a couple of questions about music in general, because I know you're a music guy like I am. Let's start with, who's your favorite artist? Flat out.
Favorite artist, man. That's tough. I would say Tyler Childers is probably my favorite, just as far as consistency wise. I think he produces a lot of really good music.
Okay. Tyler Childers. What about if you had to take 3? I know some desert island lists are 10, but that might be tall order just off the top of your head. If you had to pick 3 albums that you had to live with on a desert island for the rest of your life, you could only take 3.
Holy smokes. That's a tough question. I kind of got to look at my Spotify here. I got a lot of bits and pieces of albums. I would say one of them would be definitely Tyler Childers' Red Rocks. That album would be going for sure. Like, I don't know. It's a lot of variation. I like a lot of different music. Big fan of Astrovan.
Okay.
And that album they put out in 2018. I feel like I got to get some EDM in here. I'm a big EDM guy. Like I'm a big fan of Zhu, ZHU. He brings the passion, if you will.
Okay.
I'm a big zoo guy. Let's see. I just had it.
This is some stuff for me to add to my playlist and check out.
Yeah, his album "The Night Day" by Zoo. Big fan of that guy too. That guy gets me pumped up. So I would say,
All right.
like, if I can only listen to 3 albums the rest of my life, it'd probably be those three. I think it'd be good. Like, I got a little bit of everything.
Got you covered. Okay.
Yeah,
Nice. Nice. Best concert you've ever seen.
I've only ever been to one concert, actually. True story.
Wow.
It was a Rufus Du Sol concert. Would have been my 5th year with my roommates. Coolest thing I've ever been to. Like, it was unbelievable. They had like confetti coming down. Like, Rufus Du Sol's what they do is they select their venues very specific on wanting a great production as well as great sound. So they're very particular in that. And sometimes the lead singer doesn't always come. It'll just be the guys who make the beats and the music, and then they'll just play his audio. But we got the full show, lights, all of it. It was unbelievable. I was like, oh, this is one of the cooler things I've ever done in my life.
That's awesome. Well, you may have to hit a couple more.
Yeah, I know. I really do need to go. I think like my bucket list concert would be Tyler Childers at Red Rocks. I
Yeah.
think that would be like top tier. I would make it at that point.
Yeah. So I've driven by Red Rocks. I've never been to a show there myself either. So I hear it's just unbelievable. So
Yeah.
I would love to do that. And then let's see, what did you listen to today?
Today, I listened to just some instrumental today. I was just working, and like with what I do, I have to be able to think about the words that I'm saying. So it's hard for me to listen to anything with words. So I'll do like, it's kind of funny, the Rudy soundtrack from the movie Rudy, one of my favorite instrumental soundtracks. So I'll just put that on repeat and just listen to that all day. And then it gets me kind of fired up, like to want to work a little bit harder, kind of how Rudy did.
That's classic. Well, and you know what? And now that you mentioned that, before we wrap, let's just talk a little bit about that. You know, what you're up to now. I know you spent a little time with the Cardinals, and now you've got a professional executive type of coaching business that you're working on. Talk about that a little bit, and let's plug what you're up to before we wrap it up.
Yeah. So right as I was kind of coming to the end of my NFL venture there for about 2 years, ran into a gentleman who does business coaching, and ran into him. He was like, hey, I think this would be a great opportunity for you. It was a huge God thing for me that kind of laid that on my plate. And so I spent like a year kind of understanding the techniques of how to make that happen. You know, the questions asked, how to present your material and deliver things. So for about the last 7 months I've been in it. I've been working with teams and individuals in the business world, and also just some individuals outside of companies, coaching them on mindset and leadership. The things that I learned from my time at Michigan. I spent 6 years there, so I had a lot of different experiences. Going from a guy who's bottom of the totem pole to switching positions and being in a position to actually play and having the opportunity to be in the NFL, which super grateful for. But translating all of those experiences to somebody who wouldn't get that experience, to help them understand how to deal with things like adversity and change and stress and all of that thing, and how to lead a team. Because obviously I had the opportunity to see some really, really good leaders and some really, really bad ones throughout my time.
Yeah.
So just looking to help people, really.
I mean, I think that's awesome, Joel. Not too many people come right out of college knowing exactly what they want to do, and I certainly didn't, and it took me a while to kind of get there. But whatever you end up doing for the rest of your life, you've started out on something that you already have a definite level of expertise in. Just when it comes to dealing with adversity and really going through that kind of crucible, of your experience at Michigan in Michigan football, and
Right.
fight through a little adversity, kind of transform yourself a little bit. I mean, those are the themes that you coach people on. So I think you've definitely picked something that you can bring something to the table with, which is fantastic.
Yeah, no, I
My own
appreciate that.
humble opinion. So
Yeah, I very much enjoy it. I didn't think public speaking would be what I was going to get into, because I graduated with a degree in mechanical engineering. But I mean, I love it, to be honest with you, and I'm
great.
glad that I am where I am.
Awesome. Well, hey, this has been great. It's the first episode, so I'm honored that you're my first guest.
Well, I'm honored to be the first guest.
Yeah, this is good stuff. This is a great way to start it off. And we're going to have some other topics we're going to cover as well, music stuff, some marching band stuff. So make sure that you subscribe and follow Hail Media. And Joel, is there any place where people can find you specifically that you want to direct?
Yeah, I mean, if you just search my name, Joel Honigford on Instagram, you'll find all my socials, and my business account is linked. But I post a lot just on my main account is what I do. My business is called Honigford Performance Strategies. If you look that up on the internet, you'll find my website, and feel free to reach out with anything.
Awesome. Awesome stuff. Thanks a lot, Joel. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Go Blue.
Go Blue.
Please don't forget to like, comment, and share, and most of all, subscribe to Hail Media for much more content related to Michigan football. And as always, go Blue.